and the San Antonio Spurs get the number one pick from David Robinson to Tim Duncan to now Victor Wembanyama. 3 number one picks in their history, 3 bigs. And here we are, Kyle. This changes absolutely everything for the Spurs and the NBA as a whole, with Wemby now going to San Antonio.
Pretty good slugging percentage historically for the Spurs in this spot. And it's funny that, like, I was talking with you about, you and I in person went to witness the what I have described as basically like a religious experience of the Wemby versus Scoot in Vegas.
That's so fun.
Where post game you and I were just kind of at the beginning of talking about, and I think everybody kind of saw this on the horizon, that this made sense from naturally San Antonio, the team that honestly was like they put international like scouting and stuff. They were the team that were light years ahead in that sense. So you were just like, doesn't it make sense for Pop, who's a guy sort of at an inflection point of his career where it's like, well, he keep going. He doesn't have to. Wemby is like a breath of fresh air, assuming Pop decides he wants to keep going.
Why would he not?
Yeah. And why would he not? What a way to sort of a thing to start. He probably won't go the duration of Wemby's career. For Wemby to stay healthy, ideally that would be the case. But it's something we saw coming, and we still were just. It just seems like a great situation for Wemby. It's a great fit for him, and it'll be comfortable. And they're a franchise with a lot of like alumni that can help him too,
and including a great Frenchman in Tony Parker. So I'm sure that'll be something there. And I think for Wemby going there to Pop, he's 74 years old. I can't imagine if Wemby has a long, healthy, fruitful career, 15, 20 years for Pop. Boy, oh boy, I doubt he goes that long.
If anybody could do it though, got that wine longevity. Yeah.
You never know there. But you're right. Like regardless of how long Pop goes as the coach of the Spurs, I think with San Antonio, even when they had Tim Duncan, nobody watched the Spurs. Like they were considered a boring team. Nobody really kept eyeballs on them. They're in one of the, let's just be honest, of the 30 NBA teams. I've never been to San Antonio, but from what I hear, one of the more boring cities.
Ouch.
So they don't get a ton of coverage.
Watch out, Barkley. You're going to have them coming for you. Don't comment on the women, KLC.
and now, though, they do have that basketball fit that works. I think for them, Jeremy Sohan, all rookies team player. He's dyeing the hair. He's acting like Dennis Rodman.
Cosplay.
He's great on defense. He improved on offense as the year went on. He can play make a bit. He improved as a shooter. But Devin Vassell and Keldon Johnson, those guys are the more proven commodities at the wing spot. Vassell, one of the better mid-range pull-up shooters in the league. Great three-point shooter coming off screens and handoffs. Like, I'm already getting like super excited with him and Wemby with the chemistry that they could have together. And Keldon Johnson, him attacking closeouts, him on defense. I think for the Spurs, you plug Wemby into this. You said it on our draft preview show. The Spurs are one of those teams where they have this good talent, Vassell, Johnson, Sohan, but they didn't have that centerpiece. And now that they have Victor Wembanyama there, they have a guy who in his Brian Windhorst flies out to France and interviews Wemby for a minute on ESPN after the pick was made, after the pick went to number 1. The pick has already been made, to be fair.
Wemby looked like he was running on fumes. That was some incredible footage.
2:30 a.m.
He was like, let's get there. Come on, let's go. Yeah.
But he said in that interview with Wemby and Wendy, that could be a podcast.
There we go. Yeah.
Well, Wemby said to Wendy, I'm ready to start competing for championships ASAP. The Spurs have this young nucleus, but they also have like $40 million in cap space. To me, the Spurs suddenly become a team where you're thinking, well, what do we want to do with that money? Do we want to start competing now? They're 30th in defensive rating last year. Could they go after a Brook Lopez, a veteran? Could they overpay to try to steal him from Milwaukee? $25, $30 million annually? I don't know. That's where my mind's going right now with the Spurs, Kyle. Could they become very good very soon?
Yeah, you start to wonder, like you said, 30th in the league last year. A lot of that is, I think that like adding a rim protector, a true like schematically like versatile rim protector like Wemby, no offense to Zach Collins, who's probably just like, snapping his fingers back to the bench for Zach Collins. Great trajectory. No, like the interesting thing about Wemby, I think the face-up aspect of his game, the fact that he's not a true 5 that's like, he offensively isn't a guy who's like he has to have his back to the basket. He has a face-up perimeter skill set. And I made the point in the past that like he sort of projects as a sort of like a more like positive like version of what Kristaps Porzingis does, but he brings you more stuff. So I think that's one of the interesting things about like when we were coming up to this draft about like where he might go is like what types of bigs can he not play with? So like if you start thinking about like if they went after like a Brook Lopez, or we talked about Indiana, could he play with Miles? You could get like a true like physical guy down there, and then you get a guy who can roam and give you like elite roaming rim protection as a helper because his closeouts are also crazy too. He just gives you a lot, and it makes you wonder. I would shoot it back at you. Like how big of a jump from 30th to what? How much of a jump do you think San Antonio can make?
I think it depends on what else they do. I really do. Like because if I'm them, I want a Brook Lopez personally. And like it's early in the process here. We're not yet done with the conference finals. We're just beginning. But looking ahead, I just think that other teams on the market, there's not a lot of teams with cap space. I don't think the Bucks are going to have a ton of competition for Brook. And maybe he would want to stay there even on a discount to try to run it back and compete for a championship. But if you can like offer double or near double what the Bucks are offering, there's nobody in the league who does what Brook Lopez does. He offers what you're saying. He can be that roamer. He can be that beefy guy who's defending the Jokic's of the world. And then Wemby could be your roamer because Wemby can do that too. So to me, I think if I'm the Spurs, I want to try to start winning ASAP, just like Wemby said he does, because that's also rooted in the belief in Devin Vassell and in Keldon Johnson. And you know who else is going to want to win as well? Greg Popovich.
For sure.